Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're setting the stage to look at the incredible journey of a true Hollywood survivor. We are talking about the ultimate late bloomer, a Bronx-born original that pretty much everyone immediately recognizes from his legendary run on The Sopranos. But you know, the story of Vincent Pastore is about so much more than just one iconic TV role. It's really a masterclass in hustle, resilience, and just this absolute refusal to quit. So if you've ever felt like your big break is taking a little too long to arrive, or if you're just curious how veteran character actors manage to stay in the game for decades in such a notoriously fickle industry, well, you're going to absolutely love the story we have mapped out today.
Okay, let's dive into this. 44. Now, in the entertainment industry, 44 is usually the age where, if you haven't made it yet, people basically tell you to pack it in, right? Most actors are either actively winding down or pivoting to a totally different career. But definitely not Vincent Pastore. At age 44, he got his very first big break. And it wasn't just any break either. It was a small role in Martin Scorsese's masterpiece, Goodfellas, back in 1990. That's the exact moment the industry finally started to take notice of him. But it really makes you wonder, what exactly was he doing for those first 4 decades of his life? Section 1, Bronx Roots and Early Hustle. So, Vincent's path to Hollywood was anything but traditional. He was born in 1946 right in the heart of the Bronx, and he definitely didn't start out reciting Shakespeare. Actually, throughout his 20s and 30s, he was just a working-class guy trying to make a living. Get this, he worked as a stockbroker, and he managed nightclubs. I mean, these were real, gritty day jobs. But the entertainment industry just kind of kept pulling him in. By his 30s, he started acting in off-Broadway plays, literally grinding away at his craft at night while working those day jobs just to pay the bills. And this incredible persistence, it's exactly what defined him. All that real-world experience, the late nights managing clubs, the wild stress of the stock market, it all infused his acting with this raw authenticity that finally paid off with that 1990 Goodfellas role. Section 2. The Sopranos Breakthrough. And this brilliantly illustrates how things can completely change overnight. It was 1999, and David Chase was casting for a brand new HBO show. He needed a heavy, a guy who could be fiercely loyal one minute and genuinely terrifying the next. Well, originally, Vincent actually auditioned for the lead role, Tony Soprano himself. Now, obviously, he didn't get that part. But Chase was so incredibly impressed by his presence in the room that he created a specific, now legendary role just for him, Salvatore Big Pussy Bonpensiero. Chase literally built a character around Vincent's unique energy, and for 2 unforgettable seasons, he was Tony's right-hand man. But here's something you might not know about what was happening behind the scenes. Despite his tough guy exterior, acting on that level was incredibly intense. Vincent actually suffered from massive stage fright during those early seasons, and the secret help he received? It came from none other than the late, great James Gandolfini. Gandolfini would quietly, secretly feed Vincent his lines during takes to help him get through the anxiety. Isn't that amazing? It's just a heartbreakingly sweet detail that shows the deep bond they formed on set, a bond you can absolutely see in their undeniable chemistry on screen. Section 3. Embracing the Mobster Typecast. Of course, being Tony's best friend came with an expiration date, leading to his devastating exit in Season 2. So, what happens after playing an iconic mobster? In Hollywood, playing a role that well often leads to the dreaded curse of being typecast forever. A lot of actors fight it tooth and nail, or they just fade away entirely because audiences refuse to see them as anyone else. So how did a guy who got his big break at 44 and became a household name at 53 ensure his career didn't just end with The Sopranos? Now, what's really interesting about this next point is his completely pragmatic, working-class response to that exact dilemma. In August 2026, he spoke to the New York Times, and when they asked him about being typecast, he said, quote, "It puts food on the table. It allowed me to buy my house outright. I absolutely love this. It is peak Bronx spirit. He didn't complain about being boxed in for a second. He embraced it. He recognized that this iconic character opened literally every single door in Hollywood for him, and he was just incredibly grateful for the financial security it provided his family. And he leveraged that security into a massive volume of work. We're talking over 50 films since his time on The Sopranos. 50! He hasn't stopped working. He's been in indie darlings on the festival circuit, bringing some serious dramatic depth to smaller projects. And he's also totally willing to poke fun at himself, doing hilarious cameos in movies like Sharknado 3, or jumping into the recording booth for animation voiceovers. He completely proved that you can be a tough guy while still being a highly versatile character actor with an insane work ethic. Section 4. Turning 80 and Thriving. Yup, 80. On July 14, 2026, Vincent Pastore blew out the candles on his 80th birthday cake. For most people, hitting 80 means full retirement, right? Taking it easy, maybe doing some gardening, reflecting on the past. But Vincent, he absolutely refuses to slow down. He is just as active as ever today, and honestly, it's genuinely inspiring to see. Let's move on and see how this builds, because this refusal to slow down translates into a jam-packed schedule. Earlier this year, fans were actually a little worried because he had a pretty bad health scare with sciatica. But true to form, he'd bounced right back. He recently updated everyone that he's back to walking 3 miles along the Hudson River every single day. Talk about vitality. And if that wasn't enough, on July 25th, he reunited with his old Sopranos crew, Michael Imperioli and Steve Schirripa, for a huge live podcast special in Atlantic City. This wasn't some tiny gathering either. They completely sold out the venue and entertained 5,000 fans. They were up there sharing emotional stories about Gandolfini, laughing about the early days, and the crowd absolutely ate it up. His connection with his audience is just as strong as it ever was.
Section 5. New projects and lasting legacy.
So, what's next? Well, he is still booking fantastic roles. Coming up this October 2026, he's starring in a brand new independent dramedy called The Last Supper Club. He plays a retired mob accountant who's trying to run a struggling restaurant in the Bronx. I mean, come on, that role feels tailor-made for him, right? It perfectly combines his mafia genre pedigree with his actual real-life background of managing New York venues. It's art imitating life.
And he is bringing his absolute A game to the set. A recent Variety article highlighted his performance, specifically pointing out his veteran ability to improvise. The film's director actually revealed that Vincent improvised almost all of his scenes in the kitchen. He brings this raw, comedic depth that you really can only get from someone who has lived a full life and spent decades mastering their craft. He isn't just showing up to hit his marks and say his lines. He is actively elevating the entire project.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a question to chew on. Does true staying power in Hollywood come from embracing exactly who you are? Vincent Pastore didn't try to hide his Bronx accent. He didn't try to shake the mobster typecast that made him famous. No, he leaned into it. He used it to put food on his table, to buy his house, and to fuel a relentless, sprawling career that is still going strong at 80 years old. He's a survivor and honestly one of the last of a dying breed, a true New York original. Let that sink in for a minute and maybe ask yourself how you can leverage your own unique traits in whatever you do. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.